Welcome to the Blackburn End Podcast. It's Rollercoaster Rovers once again. I'm not sure if our heart rate, blood pressure or general mental state can take this. The games are thick and fast, so let's get into it. So Rovers put in a woeful performance against Oxford midweek, losing 1-0 in the relegation six-pointer. The team stayed south as they prepared for the tough trip into London, which proved to be a masterstroke as Jurgensen grabs a brace in a 2-1 victory against Millwall. Rovers are now 19, 3 points above the relegation area, but now face a tricky fixture at home. But let's be honest, they're all tricky fixtures now against high-flying Borough. But the big news of the week was Rovers beating the Dingles 2-1 in the FA Youth Cup with a certain Mr. Dunn celebrating in front of the away fans. Rovers under-18s are now into the semi-finals versus Man City. But Mark, I'm struggling to actually form opinions now at the moment. Everything just seems so up and down and unpredictable.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was as low as I've been after Oxford. I mean, we'll get into it, but the performance as much as anything. And then after the second goal on Saturday, I remembered why we do it. It's just, they just reel you in, don't they? Just when you're least expecting it. And you think, that's it, I've had enough. Back in you come.
It's been a crazy week. Because as you're going to see from our audio reactions and obviously what we're about to talk about, Oxford game, I just made my peace. I really had. And then, to be honest, after the Millwall had taken the lead, I was actually thinking about us, not in a romantic way, but I was thinking about us and how we're going to do things going forward. At League One, are we going to continue the podcast? Is it a case of we just fold and sod it, can't be asked anymore? Is it a time to kind of freshen things up? And I was thinking all these things. And then 5-10 minutes later, I'm just absolutely loving life. And me and you messaging each other, very excited. So what a difference a few days can make. But let's rewind back to the Oxford game. So very important game. We said it was going to be important. This was the one where we needed to go and put in a performance, get something out of it. And the complete opposite happened. Very disappointing 1-0 loss, and this is how we felt just after the game.
Oh, dear, dear, dear. I'm gone from being a little bit concerned to now being absolutely stunned with what I've seen. The lack of quality, creativity, plan, belief, dare I say, desire and fight. We looked like we were sleepwalking into trouble. It looked like a game that I would say almost an early season game where, yeah, you've not turned up, but it doesn't really matter. There's loads of games to fix it. There didn't seem an urgency. Maybe the last couple of minutes they tried to have some urgency, but that was all scuppered by the fact that Cantwell couldn't control a ball. Tavares couldn't play a 5-yard ball. Gordon Hitman was knackered. Torp was panicky. I don't know where we go from here, Mike. Normally you can see some positives, or you can see, do you know what, he's got that way out, way wrong. I thought 4-2-3-1, just shape alone, looked better with more people in key areas, but nothing clicked. We look like a team that's never played together. We're now only 2 points out of the relegation zone. Out of West Brom, 1 point out of the relegation zone. And based on that, I think we deserve to go down right now. And I didn't think I'd be in that position. I thought I'd be frustrated with performances, maybe. I thought I'd be frustrated with tactics, decision-making, injuries, refs' decisions, whatever you want. But actually, I've looked at that and I've thought, we're poor. We're really, really poor. I know they've got injuries, but I've got to see something else and very quick. Otherwise, I think we're doomed.
I'm just embarrassed to be a Rovers fan right now. I think when I talk to people, they have pity for me. They have pity for us because they can just see what's happened to the club. That performance, I think, is genuinely, I think it's the worst I've seen us ever play. And I feel like there's more to come. I really do. I used to look at a squad and have a list of players I just wanted us to sign on long deals and keep. I'm genuinely struggling to look at any player that I actually want to keep right now. It's just been a dismantling of the club from the people that don't know what they're doing. The players, they couldn't do the simple things that a child could do on a pitch. And I bring it down to the fact there's just no accountability for them. All these players, they'll go back to the clubs, that they're on loan from, or they'll find new clubs, they'll find new contracts, and they'll all move on, and we're the ones left to suffer and struggle with. I've completely given up on Deneva and Baraji now, and obviously Gardner Hickman we've talked about. But they're not the only ones. Tavares came on and he just does not look like a footballer. And we paid good money for him. And it's sad that Adam Forshaw is as influential as he is. He shouldn't be. It's disgusting. As a supporter, I'm just not inspired to even muster any energy. If they're going to be playing like that and not give the effort that they should be, why should I? Why should I be angry? Why should I be? Because I'm just, like I said, it's embarrassing. It really is. And I don't care about injured players and players we don't have. Effort and desire cost nothing. The squad should be able to cope with a few injuries, but the stats, if you check the stats, it just was not good enough. Disgusting. I mean, we couldn't even muster the talent and energy to hoof the ball into the box at the end. I mean, Cantwell couldn't even get the ball out of his feet to hoof it forward. Just, I'm done, mate. I'm done with us. Terrible. Awful. Couple of happy chappies there, Mark.
Oh, my God. It was, you've taken me right back. Yeah, I think I was just dumbfounded by the lack of urgency of our play. I looked at the formation in the first few minutes and I thought it looked better, the optics. Obviously, we had 4 at the back, we had 2 in midfield, 3 and a 1. It looked like there was more people spread across the pitch, obviously. Whereas we've talked previously about there being too big a gap in the 6, too big a gap in the 8. I thought, we've addressed that. Deneva, listen, don't think he's a good player, but he's come on the last couple of games before that and done a little bit of something going forward. Looks a little bit better than he has, albeit the bar is very low. Understood Baraji in the 10. All these kind of things that you thought, okay, I can see where we're going. And it was one of the most abject performances, if not the most, that I can remember. It looked like a team, I wouldn't say they had nothing to play for. It looked like a team that were beaten. I felt they looked like a team that had accepted their fate, almost like the Portsmouth game. And we talked about this last week, how we set up to contain a Portsmouth team. It felt like the players had gone, well, even he doesn't believe in us. And they had no self-belief. They couldn't control the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. And there was a lack of, I don't think there's ever a lack of effort from them. I'm gonna give them that. But it felt like there was a lack of belief in what they were doing. And that comes through as you're performing at 90%. I mean, Ali Biosu doesn't get over the halfway line since he's come back from injury. 2 schools of thought there. Is he carrying an injury still? Is he told to? So this is 3 schools of thought. Or is he reluctant because he's anxious about his injury, either because he's got a better offer in the summer or whatever. But I started to question the players' mentalities after that game.
Yeah, I felt like they looked very weak mentally, physically, and we just looked inept. I've said it so many times, and I'm sorry it's a broken record, but I don't understand how professional footballers can make football look so hard. I mean, I even asked Kidder Street Noise, I said, can you chuck me one of your Fell For It award memes, please? Because I'm trying my best to let some of these players, develop. So, sometimes we need to back off a little bit, give them time to settle in and stuff like that. But when you do as much as what we've done, you haven't really got the time to do that. And some of these players are now important players. Now, I want to bring it back to when O'Neill was calling out the quality of the squad. I just think it was really bad timing there, because now these players are having to play because of injuries, and they do look like they've got no confidence. And I think it probably does come down to the fact he's called them out. And Baraji, he could not pass from here to 5-6 yards. It was ridiculous. Deneva, there was a couple of crosses that he literally just put straight out of play. It was just a really simple thing we couldn't do right. Gardner Hitman, I think he's a decent squad player. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I would prefer JRC. I really would. I think that goes without saying. But Tavares, I haven't seen anything. Literally nothing from him. Like Baraji, I can see little glimpses.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like with Baraji, if it just clicks with him, if he just does things that little bit faster, I think there is potentially something there. Trying to find it's going to be a difficult thing, but there's something there. Deneva, you've got some pace. Okay, he looks like he's the kind of guy that, you know, you wouldn't want to talk to. Yeah, it looks I'm not going to say, but anyway, he's a bit of a raw talent. He's got pace, he's got the physical attributes that could potentially be successful. But Tavares, I'm not really seeing anything. So then when we're making the changes and these players are coming on, I'm like, I actually feel like we're making the team worse. This isn't for tactical direction. This is just hope. Cantwell came on. He didn't do anything. I mean, he was struggling to pass the ball. Like I said, he couldn't even get the ball into the area. It just looked extremely, extremely weak.
Yeah, I mean, I feel really sorry for Deneva. I think where I'm at with him now is that he's just not good enough. He is a player who is playing way out of his depth. He looks like a League Two player that's giving it a go. I'd rather see Hayden Doherty back in the squad. At least you can go, there's something to work for. Baraji, I feel sorry for in the sense of I think he needs a pre-season. I think he's come to England and I can't see us gambling, even if we fail, on him paying money for him to come back, and in the hope that the pre-season fixes him. And Tavares, I can imagine he's somebody who looks like he's a good player in training. I know that Brendan Rodgers gave the recruitment team a real glowing reference because he worked with him at Leicester, I think. But not for me. He's a player who's played, we'd said at the beginning of the season he'd only played about 40 professional games. Jake Garrett's probably not that far away from there. And Jake Garrett's obviously mentioned him last week. He's not registered. We've chosen not to register him. So I think the fact that something you said was Adam Forshaw's so important, and the fact that people like John Buckley have gone out of the squad, and we were saying they probably weren't good enough. They've had long enough now, but John Buckley will be our best midfielder right now. Tells you where the is at.
And that's what's frustrating. It's really weird you've brought this up, because I was out on Saturday with a mate who was obsessed with Jason Roberts, absolutely obsessed, and he brings him up all the time. And he was one of the players that I just could not stand. I just didn't think he was good enough and everything. I think most people agreed. But for some reason, he always saw a player in there and he brings it up all the time. And I said, I hope to kill for a Jason Roberts right now. The players that I used to look back on very, very recently and say, they're not, they need to go. But you're always assuming that who you bring in is going to be an upgrade. And this game, when I came away from it, I could see me going back to the opinion that we both had not long ago of just seeing the dismantling of the squad, and I was getting very, very disappointed. And I think it was how we reacted to going a goal down that I wasn't happy about. I mean, that was on the 34th minute, was it? Something like that. I didn't feel like there was any point we was going to be back in that game, and you had near enough the whole game to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a real victim mentality. It was a real feeling sorry for themselves, like they had no say in the situation, like it was just happening to them. They look like a beaten team in every which way.
I mean, the formation, we can all see that what he's trying to do, I don't think we necessarily agree with it. I think we've seen like the QPR game, and I know we keep going back to that, but we could just see something there. We could see something in that Preston game, those 2 wins. Is it a case of he's gone back to this formation just because of bad injuries and he doesn't trust these players that he's got to play any other way?
He spoke about it, hasn't he? He said, listen, I've got to find a way that's best for the players. I don't think we can play wing-backs without Hedges. I think Ribero's a full-back, Pickering's a full-back, toss-up between them. I think Cashin's been poorer than he has been the last few games. I'd like to see him at centre-half because I just think McLaughlin's poor. But Cashin's played centre midfield for Derby a number of times, almost like Phil Jones did for us when he was coming through. So, you could see him having the attributes to play there as well in that City midfield. So you could play the 2 there if you really wanted. I get you want to give more protection because the back four is not great. But I just think we're lacking width and we're lacking pace. So I could understand why he went this time with Deneva out there. I could understand why he'd gone with Baraji. And we've only got 1 fit striker now, so playing 2 of them is a big risk. But I hoped we'd see this little tweak. I hoped we'd see, all right, that the formation, it was this, it was that. But we were kind of doing it out of hope. And yet I watched it and nothing really changed. He brought the subs on. Nothing really changed. I'll be honest, had we recorded the podcast the day after, I would now be sat here saying, I cannot see a way out of this. I think we are relegated. I think we're lacking quality. We've got a squad now that's bigger than it was. They've said that they're spending the same amount on wages as they were. Well, they're wasting it. Then they need to look at how they've spent it. They talk about not being able to compete for wages. Well, if you're spending that money on a Dion Deneva, Tavares, McLaughlin, I'd rather you'd have given that money to Dom Hyam and Lewis Travis.
This is exactly what we've said, isn't it? You've got a youth team that's doing really well. There should be a pathway of them coming in. They're going to be on very low wages. Instead of packing the squad with a load of, C team players, let's go and spend it more wisely. Fill the important positions with experienced players or players that have talent, and then you fill the other holes with your youth players. We've said it time and again, and it was no shock to me when the likes of Hitchen, Livell and Pratt, they come into the team and do as well as they've done. Doherty, you said, you've mentioned his name. He came on against Hull and he probably showed more than what Deneva's done. So you're just thinking to yourself, these players are there, they're in the background. They can be your squad players. They can be the ones that you can just say, do you know what, they can have a go. And we've said before, those players, the fans will support them. They will say, do you know what, we'll give you a little bit more rope than the others because your Barages, your Denevas, and that have cost us money and we've brought them in. We are going to hold them at a higher standard. If you have actually committed some finances towards these players, be it wages or actually signing them on, then you're going to hold them to a high standard than a youth player coming through. Do you see what I'm getting at? Oh, you've muted yourself, Mark. It's not a podcast unless we have a technical issue, is it?
I need a new microphone. That's what it is. I just think if we're spending the same on wages as we were doing last season, someone's doing their job wrong. John Williams, you always talked about if you put the wage league table and the actual league table out in the Premier League, he said about when 18 out of the 20 teams will be in pretty much the same position. We spend a lot of money on wages compared to what we're taking. We have to do that. Now, there's different ways of doing that. You pack your squad out with average rubbish and fill it up. You buy experienced players who don't cost you that much money, but you pay more on the wages. Or you do buy high and pay high wages. Well, we don't have that option. So we've got to go with the Andy Bymans, the Danny Bart. They're probably at the end-ish of their career, but are wanting decent money. You fill your squad with people we're talking about our injuries and their knees and their ankles and we're unlucky. If you went and bought Dom Hyam, like Wrexham have done, and he didn't play the majority of the games, I think you're unlucky. If you go and pluck somebody out of a league that's not playing 3 times a week, has a winter break, isn't used to playing 50 games a season, isn't used to playing on these pitches, isn't used to playing the speed and the robustness of the Championship, and they get injured, I'd say that's to be expected. So it's not some sort of, oh my goodness, how unfortunate are we? I think if you want to build a squad that's going to be more than the sum of its parts, you've got to pack it with the people can turn up week in, week out. The reason Adam Forshaw's doing so well is because he knows what it takes when he goes away to Oxford. He knows what to expect, knows how to manage his body. We've got to look at what we've done. If we somehow get out of this and say, right, that was an error, how do we fix it? And maybe you have a smaller squad of core group, but you can hang your hat on them. Danny Bart played the majority of games after Christmas. Andy Vyman was a bit up and down. Maybe you go, but you know what? We can't gamble on Andy Vyman because we need his wages for somebody who's going to play all the time. Dom Hyam plays all the time. Travis, to be fair to him, bar suspensions every 2 minutes, played most of the time. You've got to go and look at your data that you should be studying is how many games is this person available for in a comparative league? And really, the only comparative league to the Championship is probably League One, but the quality is less. So that's a gamble in a different sense. So I don't buy into this, we've been really unlucky. I think if you're going to bring Sidney Tavares when he's played 40 career games or whatever it is, he's barely played in England. I know he came through the youth teams, but he's not played men's football in England, really. And you want him to play 3 games a week and he gets injured, it's your own fault.
And that's why they're called risky signings, because they're very, you're taking these risks. And the thing I don't like is how much we are risking on some of these players, because we can't throw this money around. We probably could if the owners backed us and so on. And I know that obviously you've got all the financial fair play stuff, but we could be a lot more sensible with the money. I want to move on to more positive stuff, which is obviously the next game. So before we move on from the Oxford game, was there any 3-word reactions?
There was plenty. S. Saunders, club's totally unrecognisable. Jim Birtwell, any hope lost. And Gary O'Brien, I've accepted relegation. Now, what I would say is I felt very much the same, but I found myself celebrating a 94th minute Charlton goal against Oxford. And when I said that out loud to my mate, I said, I've just celebrated a Charlton goal against Oxford. That told me all I needed to know. But on the subject of celebrating goals, Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Thank you, Sammy Smodics. Keep that up.
Well, this is the thing. We're now looking over our shoulder. We're looking at other results. And results were going okay for us before. And then this week it seemed like, we were really being dragged into it. And then other teams were messing up, weren't they? So, again, we just seem to be getting away with it. But obviously, we move on to the Millwall game. And this is where things obviously started to get a little bit more exciting for us. So when it came to the Millwall game, we said that this was one where it's not an easy place to go to, but for some reason Rovers seem to go and get results there, and we do. Now this is an initial match reaction. Now just to let you know, we are having a few audio issues a little bit. I do know that I'm looking into what's causing it, but we are looking into that. But also, I've put a little snippet of my drunken reaction to you, Mark. I wasn't going to put it in, but I thought I have to. I'd had a little bit to drink, Mark. So I did have to watch this game again. But yeah, let's play this initial reaction. Mate, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I'll take that. It's completely unexpected, but yo! Okay, as you know, Mark, this is my second recording. The first one was when I was hammered drunk, and I'm not sure you can hear anything. There's just noise in the background. So this is my second time watching it. The first time, I'll be honest, I had double vision the whole time and I was just celebrating the fact that we won. But now I've had a chance to watch it. This is my initial reaction. So, obviously, fantastic win. I'm there thinking to myself that I've given up on life and that we're just going to get relegated. And then to go and get this win, I think, is just giving us a little something. Results not necessarily going our way around, so we haven't pulled away. But after, obviously, the previous results, it's great to get something. But yeah, first half, we had our chances. It seemed like a bit meh the first half, not really much. But then obviously all the stories coming out of that second. Toth just making some fantastic saves. Millwall just missing chance after chance. And when they were hitting the target, Toth was just in the way, and that's fantastic. But then the goal, it just shows what we need to work on. It was like it was in slow motion. The guy just trots in, turns, does a little overhead kick. They're going to think it's an amazing goal, but it was just terrible defending. No one tracking back from midfield. Forshaw didn't turn round to have a look. Marishta didn't track back. McLaughlin wasn't looking, and for someone to get that much space in at that point just shows the work that needs to be done. And then the red card. Not a chance is that a red card. We have got away with it there, and I will take it every day of the week just like any club would. But that's probably what changed the game for us. Well, it is what changed the game for us, but Millwall still had their chances after that. But yeah, the goals. Let's talk about the goals. Let's talk about the positives. First one, great effort down the right to get that ball across. Great positioning from Jurgensen to tap it in, and then we just started playing like we can. It seemed like confidence just started to go through the players, and it all came down to through balls once again. We've said that if we try something like a nice little through ball like we did at QPR, you're going to get opportunities, and it was fantastic to see that happen. Absolute limbs in the away end, love it. We need to break down the situation, but as an isolation with the game, fantastic result. Not sure we deserved it, but I'll take it.
Get in! I'll tell you what, mate. We said we needed something from nothing. We said we needed a result we weren't expecting. After Wednesday, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, pal. I'd written us off. There was no passion, no energy, no belief, a lack of quality, a lack of urgency. We looked a team resigned to the fate, and I felt the same. We've gone into today. I just had this weird feeling that we get something, and I think it comes from nothing more than Rovers just like to mess with your emotions. And I thought the first half was a really good performance. It felt like the Derby game. It was solid. It wasn't spectacular, but it was solid. Obviously, Carter's gone off, and you're thinking, I hope it's precautionary like the Derby game. And then I worry about the second half because I think they've got to come out better. They've got to come out with more purpose. And they did. And they scored. And then you think, here we go. I'm not convinced about that red card. I've watched it a few times now. Really not convinced by it at all. But I'm going to take it. We've had enough poor results go against us. We took full advantage. I think the manager set the tone. He made positive changes. We had energy. We had belief. We had urgency. We were getting the ball forward quicker, but not just lumping it. There was a real purpose to our play. I was so pleased with us. So pleased. And once we got one, we looked like we were going to score a second. I felt like we were going to get the second. I can't remember the last time I felt like that. That could just be the spark that we needed. We've got to build on it now. We've obviously got Middlesbrough up next. We probably still needing 3 wins.
That restarts the whole.
Right, sorry. We've had a bit of technical issues there with the audio reaction. It just froze. So I'm going to just start it again. Mate, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I'll take that. It's completely unexpected, but yo! Okay, as you know, Mark, this is my second recording. The first one was when I was hammered drunk, and I'm not sure you can hear anything. There's just noise in the background. So this is my second time watching it. The first time, I'll be honest, I had double vision the whole time, and I was just celebrating the fact that we won. But now I've had a chance to watch it. This is my initial reaction. So, obviously, fantastic win. I'm there thinking to myself that I've given up on life and that we're just going to get relegated. And then to go and get this win, I think, is just giving us a little something. Results not necessarily going our way around, so we haven't pulled away, but After obviously the previous results, it's great to get something. But yeah, first half, we had our chances. It seemed like a bit meh the first half, not really much. But then obviously all the stories coming out of that second. Toth just making some fantastic saves. Millwall just missing chance after chance, and when they were hitting the target, Toth was just in the way, and that's fantastic. But then the goal, it just shows what we need to work on. It was like it was in slow motion. The guy just trots in, turns, does a little overhead kick. They're going to think it's an amazing goal, but it was just terrible defending. No one tracking back from midfield. Forshaw didn't turn round to have a look. Marishta didn't track back. McLaughlin wasn't looking, and for someone to get that much space in at that point just shows the work that needs to be done. And then the red card. Not a chance is that a red card. We have got away with it there, and I will take it every day of the week, just like any club would. But that's probably what changed the game for us. Well, it is what changed the game for us, but Millwall still had their chances after that. But yeah, the goals. Let's talk about the goals. Let's talk about the positives. First one, great effort down the right to get that ball across. Great positioning from Jurgensen to tap it in, and then we just started playing like we can. It seemed like confidence just started to go through the players, and it all came down to through balls once again. We've said that if we try something like a nice little through ball like we did at QPR, you're going to get opportunities, and it was fantastic to see that happen. Absolute limbs in the away end, love it. We need to break down the situation, but as an isolation with the game, fantastic result. Not sure we deserved it, but I'll take it.
Get in! I'll tell you what, mate. We said we needed something from nothing. We said we needed a result we weren't expecting. After Wednesday, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, pal. I'd written us off. There was no passion, no energy, no belief, a lack of quality, a lack of urgency. We looked a team resigned to their fate, and I felt the same. We've gone into today. I just had this weird feeling that we get something, and I think it comes from nothing more than Rovers just like to mess with your emotions. And I thought the first half was a really good performance. It felt like the Derby game. It was solid. It wasn't spectacular, but it was solid. Obviously, Carter's gone off, and you're thinking, I hope it's precautionary like the Derby game. And then I worry about the second half because I think they've got to come out better. They've got to come out with more purpose. And they did. And they scored. And then you think, here we go. I'm not convinced about that red card. I've watched it a few times now. Really not convinced by it at all. But I'm going to take it. We've had enough poor result score against us. We took full advantage. I think the manager set the tone. He made positive changes. We had energy, we had belief, we had urgency, we were getting the ball forward quicker, but not just lumping it. There was a real purpose to our play. I was so pleased with us, so pleased. And once we got one, we looked like we were going to score a second. I felt like we were going to get the second. I can't remember the last time I felt like that. That could just be the spark that we needed. We've got to build on it now. We've obviously got Middlesbrough up next. We probably still needing 3 wins and a draw. Can we get them? Who knows? But I tell you what, I feel a hell of a lot better than I did on Wednesday. Come on, the boys!
Jeez, that was a couple of happy boys. I mean, again, sorry for the technical issues we just had then. I don't know why it just froze on me and the audio issues we're having then, but we do enjoy doing the match reactions. We will sort that out going forward. And sorry if me and Mark absolutely burst your eardrums there. But we was cloud 9, weren't we, after?
Absolutely buzzing. Partly because of obviously where we are at the minute. And then after the Oxford game, when you're that low and you can't see a way forward, then you go 1-0 down in the second half after we played quite well. I just couldn't see it coming. It came from nowhere. And then once you could see it coming, you're thinking, you start to believe a little bit. And then that goal goes in the back of the net, and it was pandemonium, I believe the word is. Not that I can say that word, it would appear.
Like I've said, I mean, I was intoxicated, let's say that. And when that goal goes in, I just thought, well, this is it now. I could see all the other results, how they were going. And then suddenly other results start going our way, and I've got people messaging me saying, they're doing you a favour, they're doing you a favour. And then the red cards comes. Obviously, it was quite quick after their goal. I was like, okay, that could really be a game changer. But Millwall still kicked on, and I was getting a bit concerned because I was like, the red card didn't really change it massively in our favour, and then suddenly it just clicked into a different gear, then, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we did well first half. I thought it was a different attitude from the outset. I thought that it reminded me of the Derby game, but we didn't obviously manage to get the goal. When we came out second half, I thought they're going to be better than they were. I thought Hitchen had done quite well. They managed to pull onto him once and bought a foul. They did it once more, but other than that, he did well. But yeah, they kicked on. They were the stronger of the two teams. They got their goal. Once they got that, I thought that's done. We're being old-manned a little bit here. But I was slightly different. I thought when the red card happened, I thought his subs, making them attacking, bringing on two attacking players, shifted the mood. So it wasn't necessarily shifting momentum, but I thought it shifted the mood. I
could see a mood change.
And I could see
Millwall seemed to play a little bit angrier after that.
Yeah, I think they felt aggrieved, rightly so. I mean, I've got the definition of dogzo, denial of a obvious goal scoring opportunity, and it says it's got to satisfy one of the following: the distance between. You consider these: the distance between the offence and the goal. He wasn't exactly in the box. General direction of play, so basically where the ball's going at. To me, it was going away from goal, not massively, but likelihood of keeping or gaining control of the ball. He probably had. Will regain the ball. Location and number of defenders, I thought it fell down on at least two of them. But I'll take it. It wasn't the worst decision I've ever seen. I just felt it was harsh. I'd have been upset if it was against us. But yeah, I thought he made the subs, and I could see the players moving the ball with more intent, moving it quicker, moving themselves up the pitch. I thought the defence got 10, 15 yards higher up. We played a bit more risky football. We got Alabiosu when he played further forward all game, but he turned into Alabiosu that we love and remember from the beginning of the season. He looked dangerous. He was trying to get crosses in. He was getting down the line. It was just almost frustrating because you think, well, why couldn't we have done that when we were 1-0 down at Oxford? Where's that come from? Where has it been? But let's not taint it, I suppose. I think to take it for what it was, this was a group of players that saw an opportunity and they took it.
I agree. First half was a bit of a damp squib, really. It wasn't a great watch. It reminded me of a game where you're just trying to get something out of it, try not to lose. Both teams didn't really seem like they were massively in it. And then second half, I thought was actually it was a lot better to watch, but that goal really frustrated me. It really frustrated me that it felt like it was in slow motion. The fact that he just strolled in, you had McLaughlin could have looked over his shoulder, Forshaw could have looked over his shoulder, Marish's just let him wander in. And then to turn and do a slow motion overhead kick like that, it was kind of embarrassing to watch. But yeah, that red card that shouldn't have been a red card, if we're being honest, it did change the mood quite a bit in the stadium. I did think Milwall played a little bit more angry. I thought they did have some opportunities, but what was interesting was, the subs, Campbell going off, and obviously Afflein and Jurgensen coming on. There was a lot of people saying that it was the Campbell going off that did it, but you've got to say that when you're bringing someone like Jurgensen on, who is a good quality player, that's going to change things quite, positively for you.
Yeah, I think, listen, Campbell's, we've talked about him a lot, but if anything, he slows the play down and we move the ball quicker. Just on their goal, I completely agree. I think I looked at McLaughlin and thought, you're out of position again. I think he's unaware often when runners are.
He just got dragged in, didn't they?
Get called ball watching. He moves across when he's never going to get there. The more I see of him, the more I hope Scott Wharton's fit after the international break. But in terms of Campbell going up, I think it was partly that, but I think I'm glad you've mentioned that. Because Jorgensen, listen, he's not a world beater. He is limited to what he can do and what he can't do at the moment. But what he can do is play on the shoulder and effective. He gets across the front man. He's almost Gudjohnson-esque in terms of that, in that sense. But you've got to play those players right. If you are playing really deep and he's going to have to drop into the 10 role trying to get the ball, you're not going to see the best of him. You play him stuck out on the wide on the right, you're not going to get the best of him. What you need is the QPR in this game. You need balls quickly, not aimlessly, not in the air, but quick through balls in behind, or you're whipping them across the box because he's always anticipating where's this going to be. And there was one that fell just got a defender got a nick away from him. Thought that one was going in. He's clinical. He's 2 or 3 yards out, but you've got to get there, and he anticipates it. And him and Gudjohnson do that really, really well. So play to his strengths. We might not get many more opportunities this season, and we've got 9 games left. For me, it's proven that we might be more defensively solid, but we create absolutely nothing if we play the way that we played in the last few games. We've got to play how we played against QPR and how we played in this second half. Might be riskier. We might get battered off Middlesbrough 4-0, but you never know. And I think it's now time to start gambling a little bit.
And that's what exactly we were saying in the QPR game, wasn't it? If you just try through ball, if you just try this little bit of creativeness in that final third, you're going to get results. Not every through ball is going to be perfect. That's football. We get that, but you've got to be trying them. And that's what I loved about it. And I love the fact that we scored from these situations because we're calling out for it. And so when it happens, it's great. Marishtis had a fantastic run of form. He seems to be coming into his own. And just being able to get him on the ball and allow him to have people moving off him, because that's the other thing. If you're a player of quality, you need other players of quality around you to read what you're doing and so on. And for all the will in the world, Matt Targay was never going to do it. Ohashi doesn't necessarily have that instinct in him, whereas Jorgensen and Gudjohnsen does. Now, Gudjohnsen, obviously, he's injured and he's out. But before, you could just tell he would find the instincts to get into those positions where he would find his form again. And Jorgensen, each of his goals were instinctive on his movements. Like you say, the first one, just knowing to hold his run and find himself in that area. So the ball's being played across nicely to him. The run, he timed it perfectly. The ball was timed perfectly. It was a great finish. And like you said, there was another chance he had as well. If you've got some, it is going back to what we were saying earlier. If you just get some decent quality players in, it's amazing what they'll do. And
it is. And if you use them to the best of their ability, it's not rocket science. Is what we're doing. It's Marishta's looking for a through ball and Jorgensen's playing on the shoulder. That's simple.
I thought every man played his part in those final 20 minutes or so. When that red card came out, they could tell that it was an opportunity then to go and get something. And even if it was a gift, it was something that just gave us the kick that we needed. I agree the subs were good subs. I mean, Baraji coming on, we scored goals after Baraji's on. It must have all been about him. But, defensively, we did get open up a few times, but then Toth had a great game. I mean, one was saves he made down to his left. I think the social media put it out from a different angle of him tipping it round the post. It's great to see him making those saves, but Millwall were missing their chances. And this is just one of those games where I come away from it. I'm absolutely flying high. I'm loving it. I'm loving the results. But we got the luck we needed throughout that game to get the results, because we did have quite a lot of shots, but it wasn't like they were quality shots. But we got the result.
No, and there was about 3 of them in the space of 2 seconds, weren't there, at one stage when there's a bit of a goal line scramble. I mean, that Talk save, I don't think we got a goalkeeper.
Registered? No, I didn't register it.
It was one of them. Has he just got a touch on that? But then the ref didn't even notice, but they didn't appeal. It was almost like it was too good a save. I think, and I'm deliberately not going to dig Cantwell out, but I had my opinions of Cantwell, but he's been out injured, so we'll hold it today. But I thought the players that came on played the game right, but I'm going to give the manager some real credit here, because I think what he did at that point, as much as we've said his comments about the squad depth may well have negatively impacted them, I think this positively impacted the whole of the team, because what he said was, we are going for this game. 2 subs, both attacking, on you go early on. We want to get a result out of this game. Whereas you see managers sometimes, don't you, when you go and the players aren't sure, if it's 1-0, do we go for another? Do we not? The manager brings on another centre-half. You're telling the team what you want them to do. This was the opposite. What he told the team was, after Lions coming on, we are going for it. We're going to get Marishta on the ball. We're going to go 4 at the back. We're going to commit more bodies forward. That's what I want you to do. And that impetus fed and spread throughout them all. And I thought the energy that they had and they showed, where has it been? It can only be confidence, that. It can only be the willingness to put yourself in situations where you're at risk, where I'm going to receive the ball in areas that otherwise, maybe not, I'll let someone else have it, or to play a ball that might not come off. Marishta does that a lot. He's willing to play a ball that might not get to its destination, whereas other players are quite happy to get their stats up, get their pass completion at 100%. Gardner Hickman's not one of them, but I thought his endeavour was there. He's somebody who has played barely any football and he's now playing twice in a week. Listen, I've said plenty about him, but what you cannot question is his endeavour, his attitude, his willingness to run and fight for the team. In some cases, I'd rather have that right now.
Yeah, there was it was the perfect storm for him to make these subs. The fact that we go a goal down, you have to then go for it. You haven't got a choice. You can't just sit on a 1-0 loss. But for the red card to come so quick after it, then obviously it does give that little bit of a spark. And then he kind of got the luxury then to make those changes. But like you said, they've got to come on, they've got to do the work. And it was great that they actually showed the effort and the desire to do it. And we started to probe that a little bit more, and that's what I really liked. Quick one, the Carter injury. He was brought off just at the end of the first half. Apparently it's hamstring, but apparently it's not going to keep him out. But we'll wait and see on that one. But I thought Hitchen, when he came on, I thought he was really solid. I thought he slotted in quite nicely.
Yeah, I thought Coburn, there was one, he'd only just come on and he outsmarted him a bit. He got hold of Hitchen's shirt. Then they fell down in a heap and the referee gives it every time. It's frustrating. He did it once more in the second half, but I thought he did really well. And then he's gone to a 2 at the back, obviously, for the last half an hour, and he looked comfortable again. I like him. I think he's a good footballer, and what I would say is one of his best attributes was, if you watch that first goal back, it comes from him. He steps in to win the ball, and his first thought is, can I play forward? And he plays a risky ball, not a silly risk, but a risky ball, rather than just checking back and, I'll play it to McLaughlin and we'll keep possession. He looks to hit his man further up the pitch. He looks to play between the lines, and he did that a number of times when he's played earlier in the season. And that makes the goal. That means the difference between the ball shuffling across the pitch and Millwall getting in position to bang, 4 of their players are out of the game. Marishta can turn and he's in. And that is the difference at this level. You've got to move the ball quicker, because if you don't, big ugly teams will get themselves in shape. You start putting crosses in, they're loving it. You've got to move them around quicker. And he does that time and again. And I think that's one of his real big attributes so far from what I've seen with him.
And again, it feeds into what I said before. A young player coming through, we're going to give him a lot more opportunity to develop without us getting on his back.
Yeah.
So we've got to use these players. So we need to start talking about the Borough game before we go. 3-word reactions.
Yeah, so 3-word reaction. Well, just before that, BRFC Archive have put this out. Blackburn Rovers comeback win at Millwall this afternoon was the first time we've come from a goal down to win away from home since October 2023. Remarkably, the last 3 times Rovers have come from behind to win an away match have all been at the Den. Cheers,
They
Millwall.
hate us, don't they? They must absolutely hate us.
Yeah.
I know that they're going on about conspiracy theories, aren't they? Saying that the EFL refs are against them because they don't want them to get promoted into the Premier League. The massive conspiracy theories at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not buying it. If the EFL don't particularly like them, maybe, but I'd quite like to see Milwall in the Premier League. It'd be good fun to watch. The ref was called Kitchen, not Hitchen, though. So, the 3-word reviews, we've got Benjamuth. Don't know. We'll go with it. Always beat Millwall. Standard. We had David Easton, 2 up front. Now, Yuki played in the 10. You called for this a lot, Mike, and I thought he can't lead a line necessarily, Yuki, but in that 10, it meant we had 2 in the box at certain times. I thought it was good. But the one I've gone for, and I can't say the first word, but Brian Gallagher, I've retweeted it on our... Do you still retweet a post on X? Do you repost it now, maybe?
Yeah, we'll say that, yeah.
We're retweeting it. But he puts a video on of the reaction, and it says, bleep, have it. Class video. So, yeah, Brian, listen, mate, and he's done it in response to us. And he's only had 24 people view it. And his face is everything that we were and more. So that's gone out there.
Brilliant stuff. Well, it was great. It then meant that we were 3 points above the relegation area. So we did have that buffer back. But now we have a tough game against Middlesbrough. Now we can have that normal conversation, the fact that we need to re-sign Sam Gallagher. But I think we're going to need a little bit more than just a Sam Gallagher on this one.
Well, you say that, Mike, but apparently we've only lost 3 of our last 22 games against Middlesbrough. So
you're positive on this one?
Oh, I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think we're winning this comfortably. No, in all seriousness, I think Middlesbrough, listen, cracking team. They play some really good football. They remind me of a JDT team when it was going well. I think he's got them playing some... He's taken Carrick's team. I know Rob Edwards had them in between, but he's taken Carrick's possession-based team and he's just taken it on a gear, and they're now moving the ball just like I was talking about Hitchen, moving it between the lines a bit quicker, looking to get it forward, not long ball, but they want to play fast football. They want to move you around. So I could actually see the logic in playing 5 in this one, but I don't think we can. I think we have to play the way that we've just played. I think we have to gamble a little bit. We have to get our back 4 higher up the pitch, which I know leaves us vulnerable, but I think Totes used to playing that way. He's fine with it. I personally will go with Cashin at centre half. I'd get rid of my Botclin. Alabiosu's got enough pace at fullback. I'd have Pickering at left back still. But I consider playing Hitchinson if Carter's not fit. I think that gives you another bit of pace. He's comfortable on the ball. He's done okay. He deserves his chance. I'd love it if Wharton was fully fit. Obviously, he's been on the bench, but I would probably get Wharton a few games under his belt for the international break, and then I would get him back in at centre half. But I think we've got to play that way. I think you probably end in the game, Barbaraggi, with the team that finished. Starting the game with the team that finished. But I'd get rid of him.
Yeah, I want to see a style similar to that first half against Derby. Really trying to put them off their stride.
Yeah.
As much as I don't really like playing an overly physical game where you were bordering on cheating, I think it needs must now.
Yeah.
And if we need to do that against Middlesbrough, I think we've got to do that. I think you've just got to really be high energy, high intensity, and really getting into them.
Yeah, I think, listen, Middlesbrough want to come, they want to get into their stride. But I think I might have misheard this slightly the other day, but somebody said if we'd have played the teams that have been in the top 6 currently, just off those games alone, we'd be in the playoffs. So whatever, I'll find the actual stat for next week. But we are far better against teams that we kind of accept are going to have the ball. We are far better playing on the counter-attack. We're far better when we are playing Jurgensen on the shoulder. So I think it's not. Some of this picks itself for me. Get Murray on the ball, get Alibiosu overlapping, get Jurgensen on the shoulder. It kind of is the only way we ever look like we're going to score a goal.
So you'd like to see like a bit of a JDT fashion, go for it and see what happens?
I wouldn't say go for it, but I'd say 4-2-3-1. I'd say Alibiosu get overlapping and defend with a, Pickering tucking in if you need. I think if you've got Forshaw and you've got maybe even Gordon Hickman sitting, you can let Alibiosu go forward. And we've missed that so much. That was our only way of bloody attacking for a large period of the season. And then since he's come back, it's like he gets the halfway line and someone's put a stinger on him.
This is the thing about professional football that kind of irritates me a little bit is managers don't seem to be willing to do hybrid way of work, and it's like we all have to play football passing it from back to front, or we're all just hoofing it. I like it when you just, if it's say that we're playing 3 at the back, you have your goalkeeper and your 3 at the back. They don't need to mess about. Just get it into the second level, and there's no danger. Don't beat yourself. Don't just pass it around aimlessly, trying to play it through the lines. I'm quite happy with it being that if we just need to get rid, and then if the attackers want to play a passing way and a high intensity way, that's fine. Let them do that, but we just stay solid. And when you've got 3 defenders that have played relatively decent amount of games together and a goalkeeper, there's no reason as a unit they can't stay tight.
No, and you've got Forshaw who's not going to stray too far because he can't from in front of them. Gordon Hickman will do the same, or Montgomery, or whoever they want to put in there, play Cashin in there if they want. Listen, I was never a fan of his football, but the principle of Sam Allardyce was basically he used to have a red, amber, and a green. You take no chances in the red zone, which is your third. Middle third, you take very few chances. Final third, that's where you play. You're the creative players. You make something happen. If you try something, it don't come off. It don't come off. He used to talk about second balls. Get it into their final third, win the second ball, and we'll play from there. It's not a bad philosophy. Listen, his football was to the extreme, and I didn't particularly like it. But if they need to red, amber, green and make it that simple, fine. But I just think simplify the game. We know what we're good at. We know what we're not good at. Get Alibiosu going down that right-hand side. Get Marista on the ball just inside and get Jurgensen on the shoulder. Get Afolayan. He's got to be better than Deneva. Get him on that left wing. Let him get playing some football. Get Forshaw sat in front of him. You should be solid enough. And if we need to sit in for a bit and compress the game and, our unit moves back a little bit, that's fine. Because that means that we should be better placed for playing on the counter-attack. There'll be more space in behind them. Middlesbrough are going to want more of the ball. Again, that probably suits us. But, yeah, I think it's going to be an incredibly tough game. I think they're obviously favourites. But it suits us on the counter-attack, and that's the way we're going to have to play it.
And the teams around us have some pretty difficult games as well. You've got Leicester away at Watford, Oxford away at Southampton, Portsmouth away at QPR, West Brom away at Bristol City. So, they're all going away to quite difficult games. There's nothing to stop us taking a risk in, trying to go for it. I just, like I said, it's this whole... not wanting to beat ourselves, not making mistakes at the back. That's what really gets to me. So as long as we turn up, show some energy and try and be tight at the back, if we can try and get something going forward, brilliant. But it could be one of those weekends where if we can just get something out of this game, you're kind of hoping that the others don't, and it just adds to that buffer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what I don't want to see is us trying to keep it really, really tight and conceding and losing the game and looking like we've gone down with a whimper again. What's the point in that? It's a slow death. You know they're going to score at some point. We don't keep clean sheets. Unless we then suddenly spring into life and do what we did after the red card. But I'd rather we shock them a little bit and pose them a threat the other way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because Oxford are finding some crazy form out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we're getting something.
Well,
And we've said before, just show us that it cares to you. Show us the desire. Show us that you've done your homework and that you're trying something different. And if the result doesn't go your way, it doesn't go your way. But that Oxford game for me was just one where I came away from it thinking we just didn't care. But then the Millwall one, you're coming away thinking that's what I want to see.
Yeah, it was absolutely chalk and cheese, weren't it? But I think, listen, if Middlesbrough come and beat us because they're the better team, I'm not a bit delighted, but I can accept that.
You hold your hands up.
But if you're playing Jurgensen on the shoulder, even if we're sitting quite deep and being relatively defensive, but you're looking for that ball in behind, you're naturally stretching the game. You're giving them something to think about. If we don't do that, Bristol City was the classic for me. Him and Ohashi were coming so deep. Bristol City were able to just compress the play, and they were just squeezing us to the point where we were going to crack. And if you don't ever cause teams a threat in beyond, even it goes back to the old adage of you're playing Sunday League and people turn them early, just knock the ball in there, just make them think he's got a lot of pace, and defenders are frightened to death of pace. If you knock a couple of balls just in behind early on and he stretches a play, those centre halves are going to think, "Ooh, I'm just going to be a little bit careful, give myself a buffer." So we're not asking for like gung-ho football. We're still saying be very, very careful, but just show us a threat on the counter, show us a threat of our own.
Yeah, like we said, that hybrid way of playing, like you said, the Sam Allardyce, I think is the way forward for us. Just keep it tight at the back, get rid into the second level, maybe even trying to break it over the back, and hopefully we get something. Hopefully next week we are going to be talking about a nice positive result, but there was one big positive result for the club this week, and it was the 2-1 win against the Dingles at in the FA Youth Cup. Limbs at the end, wasn't there?
Oh, wasn't there just? My favourite moment was Isaac Dunn. Obviously, those of us that are nice and old will remember Dunny scoring when he was about 43 miles offside in the 7th minute of 6 added on minutes or whatever it was. And they were singing to him because, ironically, against Milwall the game before, the FA Cup quarter-final, we lost when we could have been going to Wembley in the semis, that he's going to cry in a minute. So then when he scored and he gave it one of these, and then Isaac Dunn took his opportunity to do exactly the same in front of them. Fair play to the lads. I don't know if anybody's seen the interview with Burnley's manager after the game. Sounds like he's doing an interview for the Rovers job. He just basically says, listen, Rovers were the better team. Fair play to them. Sometimes you got to hold your hand up. But I thought they played really nervy, actually. I've seen them for quite a lot of the under-18s. Under-21s, and obviously there's a bit of a hybrid in this. Normally, they try and play the under-16s in the under-18s. They play the under-17, 18s in the 21s. But it's the Youth Cup. You take it more seriously, so people like Isaac Dunn are dropping back into it. But I've seen them play a lot better than this. Igor Tyjon was absolutely anonymous on that left-hand side. But the occasion got to them a little bit, but players will learn from that. I mean, the goalkeeper, Harry Holt, it's called, massive Rovers fan, sat on the terraces. Isaac Dunn was in the Blackburn End a few games ago when I was in there. So some of these are real local lads. It means a lot to them. But there's some good players in there as well. It doesn't do them any harm to have a little bit of an atmosphere, to have a bit of an edge, be a bit nervous. They were the favourites going into it. So there's a lot of things they've had to cope with there. And I thought they did it really, really well. I was absolutely delighted with them, to be fair. I think
we're all proud of them.
They look like a real good set of lads who know what it means to play for the club, dare I say it. And listen, we know we're not daft. We don't think they're all going to make it. But there's Valentin Joseph, who's showing right now. I mean, he reminds me of Emil Heskey, the way he's a big unit, but he can move. And that's a bloody frightening combination. Now, he might come and be the next Joe Nuttall. He might come and be the next Matt Derbyshire. He might come and be the next Ashley Ward. Who knows? But right now, that they're doing a really good job of making the club really proud. They're going away to Man City next, who probably spent £4 billion on their under-18s. So we'll see how that goes. But we're more than holding our own. I think the academy is always one shining light.
Yeah, we're all very proud of them, and it just all feeds into what we're saying about the fact that we need to find this pathway to first team football for these lads. You don't get to this stage of the cup by being mediocre. They're all very talented, and I just hope that the club do the right thing and create these pathways. But yeah, fantastic result, and it's always great to get one over on a rival. So, but Mark, I'm feeling a little bit more positive after that Millwall game. I think it was definitely one that we needed. As it stands, Portsmouth are losing 1-0 to Derby, which means we are 3 points above the relegation area with Portsmouth, West Brom in between us, Oxford and Leicester. It's very tight down there. How are we feeling about the Borough game going into next week? Are we going to have a bigger buffer, or are you a bit concerned?
I think the Borough game, listen, I'd said last week, I think we're in the realms already, and certainly after Oxford, of needing results that we're probably not earmarking. I think Middlesbrough game's one that we're probably not earmarking. It's one that, anything you get out of it's kind of a bonus, but we've got to get a draw and 3 wins from somewhere for me. Naturally, you look at the remaining fixtures, of which there's not many now. You start to go, right, well, is that West Brom at home, maybe Stoke away, and Leicester at home last game of the season? And then we've got to get a draw from somewhere. So when you start narrowing it down like that, it's a massive game. We can't afford to go, well, that one doesn't matter, but actually, we're not expecting anything. It doesn't really matter anymore. We've got to go and get results. If that's a draw, okay, we'll chalk that off. Got to keep just ticking along now. Going into an international break is something we're notoriously poor at doing. Obviously, we'll then have to discuss next week what that international break is going to look like when our manager's rather busy during the break and not with us. So I'll be very, very happy if we get a draw. Anything else, and I will be. There's a chance of me, running around top off down that Blackburn End front, but nobody needs to see that. So don't let that.
We could be 6 points clear by this time next week, mate.
Yeah, easy work then. Birmingham, who's worried about them? I mean, like I said at the beginning of the season, they'll finish below Blackburn and West Brom anyway. I actually only said West Brom, but I was wrong about both. What I would say is Middlesbrough struggled against Charlton. I watched that game, and Charlton just frustrated them, stayed in the game. So as much as I'm saying I would like to see him play on the counter and play Jurgensen, they just used set pieces. And Middlesbrough didn't like that physicality. So, your approach of roughing them up a bit might not do them any harm. Listen, it's going to be very, very bumpy. We've got to get a win from somewhere. Another win before the international break. I'll be extremely happy, boy.
Definitely. Well, we'll leave it there. Obviously, put your comments down below what you think is going to happen. What's your predictions for the game? How many points clear are we going to be? Are we going to be deep in the mire? Put all the comments down below. We do read them, and hopefully we'll have some positive fans in there. But Mark, thanks for joining me this week.
No worries, pal. I mean, it could be worse. We could be Preston North End, who won the league in September, and it's a good job they got 49 points because they are dropping like a stone.
Well, see, that was one of my predictions that they would be further down, so I'm quite happy to see that one. But no, thanks for joining me, Mark, and obviously thanks everyone for listening. Do all the good stuff like subscribe, share on all social media, and have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
No, they never, no more, 'cause I'll stay a while